He was stopped, however, when the sight of something in an alley caught his attention, and was making his blood boiling inside. Mitarashi Anko had been forced to her knees, hands held behind her back, and she was surrounded by a bunch of variously ranked shinobi. All of them, who by the looks of things, were not there simply to talk to her in a cordial manner, and saw the dangerous wild look in their eyes. It was a look that spoke of a nightmarish hell for Anko if they succeeded in getting what they wanted from her, and from the group surrounding the currently putting up a strong front despite knowing what was about to happen.
Okay, snake bitch. Here's how it's going to play out for the next couple of hours. We are going to strip you of what little clothing you're wearing and service us with that mouth of yours before we tap that ass without any kind of complaints. Got it, said a chunin looking for tail to have since his wife divorced him not that long ago after getting caught cheating.
Sorry. I don't speak limp dick pig, said Anko, seeing the man growl at her and pull out a kunai. Hold her down. Time to make this whore know where she currently stands with us here in the leaf, said the chunin, seeing his buddies about to jump Anko when they sensed a presence behind him.
How pathetic. All of you teaming up to take down a beautiful woman like her, the simple pleasures of the flesh she doesn't wish to give you willingly. I find people like you to be truly deserving of the lowest reaches of hell, said Vergil, coldly walking towards the group and saw them take out weapons while the one holding Anko still kept her pinned down. Like you're one to talk here, demon boy. Your kind are from hell and should stay in hell forever, said the chunin, pointing the kunai at Vergil, who just shook his head, and took out his icy blue nunchaku that was Cerberus.
So what if my kind are from hell? The fact people like you get sent there for sins just like this should tell you just how bad your species are in terms of committing horrible acts against this world. You speak of honor, yet you do the opposite, and try to rape this woman before you, said Vergil as he saw them chuckle, and raised an eyebrow at them.
This bitch isn't a woman. Even if she was, every guy male worth his appendage downstairs knows women are nothing more than things used to appease their betters. All a woman is really good for is cooking, cleaning, spreading her legs for the dominant, and clearly superior gender, said the chunin holding Anko down. I have heard enough. I won't stand by and let you dishonor the female gender anymore. Die, said Vergil, as he moved into action, and used his new weapon with great skill he had acquired on the trip back, using shadow clones to help in using them.
When the blunt-based weapons made contact with the areas of human flesh they hit, the limb was covered in ice, and from the force behind the blow caused the limb's hit to break into multiple pieces. Legs, arms, heads, and chests were struck by Vergil's lethal weapon of choice, with the only man left aside from the Namikaze himself left alive, if not physically whole in the alley, was the one holding Anko. The man realized he was in a no-win situation, as he was vulnerable to attack by Vergil if he kept Anko held down. And if he let her go to run, there was a chance the woman would use her ice skills on him. Please don't kill me, said the chunin as he saw some of his buddies still alive, but now with a few less limbs to call their own, and crying out in pain.
Why should I listen to you? If you should be begging anyone for mercy here, it would be the woman you're holding down, and attempted to rape, said Vergil before he struck another chunin of the group on the skull with Cerberus, with the combination of the ground caused it to break into a couple hundred pieces. Instead of answering, the chunin picked Anko off the ground, and shoved her into Vergil before making a quick run for the public places of Konoha, knowing he could use it to keep himself safe for a time until a plan could be worked out. He was almost out of the alley when snakes from one pissed off Mitarashi Anko shot out of her trench coat and pulled him back into the alley.
You bastard! I'm going to enjoy making you suffer, said Anko, kicking the man in the groin before the chunin could cry out for help, and effectively silenced him by the force of blow. You want me to assist, said Vergil, as Anko brought out more of her snakes, and could tell they were in the same pain-creating vibe-like state she was in.
That's sweet of you, Vergil-kun, but I will handle this on my own, and teach this fool a proper lesson about women being equal to men, said Anko, as she saw Vergil nod, and leave the alley.
Mercy, cried out the Junin in a whispery voice. Sorry, little man. This snake bitch is all out of mercy, said Anko, as she unleashed her rage and pain upon this whimpering little man, now finding his voice again to scream out for everyone to hear. And justice for one of the oppressed women of the world has now been served, thought Vergil, as he entered the Namikaze estates and was instantly glomped upon by the group of girls waiting for his return.
Vergil-sama-kun, said the girls at once while they snuggled against him.
Hello, girls. Behaving yourselves while I was gone, I take it, said Vergil, as he saw them nod, and it brought a smile to his face.
We've been on our best behavior, Vergil-sama, said Kin, knowing if she and Tayuya weren't, then they would be punished. Training hard, getting stronger, said Vergil, seeing them all nod again.
Yugito-chan helped out a lot since she has a lot of experience in being a shinobi, said Yakumo, as she had to do a lot of physical fitness once her muscles were strong enough and was making up for lost time. That's good to hear. I want you girls to be as strong as possible, said Vergil, knowing the stronger they were should they have to fight, the better prepared they'd be for when the enemies outside and in the village wanted to get to him.
We will be. Any fucker comes here, they're going to regret it, and are going to lose their nuts for trying, said Tayuya, as he saw Kin scowl, and Hinata blush at her choice of bad language.
Tayuya-chan, we have guests in this house. You know how I feel about swearing, said Vergil in a scolding voice.
Sorry, Vergil-sama, but the thought of some jerk coming here to hurt you, and any of us just pisses me off, said Tayuya, trying to keep her swearing in check, but it wasn't easy, and even more so when the thought of her new friends in the house could be targeted too. I understand. Because you didn't swear when you wanted to just now, I'll let you off with a warning, and not punish you. Okay, said Vergil, seeing Tayuya nod. Are you hungry, Vergil-sama? We could make something for you, said Kin, as she had Haku's and Hinata's help in cooking for him.
I would like something to eat, thank you, Kin-chan, said Vergil, as he along with his female companions walked into the kitchen to hear about the mission, and what happened with the female client. Root HQ. How are your new Sharingan eyes, Sasuke? Said Danzo, as he had a pair of Sharingan eyes preserved in a jar after running out room on his arm, and held on to them should he need to use his other arm for such surgery.
Fine, strange, but fine all the same. How did you make this transplant possible? Said Sasuke, seeing Danzo looking at him with his own bandaged, emotionless face.
After you kin were slaughtered, I had several Sharingan eyes saved from complete and utter destruction to be transplanted should anything happen to yours. You've already seen the results with Kakashi's Sharingan eye, which was given to him by his teammate of an Uchiha, back when he was still in three-man cell with the late Yondaime, and has been a master of the eye ever since. However, you'll find that unlike Kakashi's eye, the pair you have will turn back to their normal black ones since you are of Uchiha clan blood, and have the natural ability to change them back, said Danzo, as he saw Sasuke turn the Sharingan eyes off, and was now smirking at him.
I take it the Hokage doesn't know, said Sasuke, seeing Danzo nod, since it took quite a bit of influential manipulation to spring the Uchiha from his hospital room to this secret underground facility.
She is a fool, both as a Hokage and a Senju. She favors that demonic abomination over you. Her way of thinking will bring about the destruction of Konoha, said Danzo, seeing Sasuke scowl at Tsunade's last name, and the mentioning of Vergil. I want his power. I want it to be mine, said Sasuke, seeing Danzo nod again. I am preparing to make my move against the Hokage and the boy. When he is captured, I will prepare the means to transfer that power to you, and then see to it that you can hunt down Itachi to avenge the Uchiha clan, said Danzo, seeing Sasuke nod with a sinister smile now forming on the boy's face.
And those women that are living with him, said Sasuke, knowing there were quite a few females living at the Namikaze estates.
Yours, said Danzo, seeing Sasuke liking the idea more and more. And you can guarantee my revenge against Itachi, said Sasuke, knowing it was what he wanted most.
Uchiha Sasuke, I can guarantee that with my help, you will become the first Uchiha to be Hokage of the Leaf, and will rub it in the demon's face before his time in this world is over, said Danzo, seeing Sasuke grinning evilly at the idea in taking that dream from the Namikaze.
When do we start? Said Sasuke, as he was eager to take Vergil down and have all that he wanted.
Soon, said Danzo before walking away from the boy to put his original plan into action, knowing that should this fail he would resort to taking the leaf by force.
Hokage Tower Council meeting room several days later. Tsunade hated meetings with these idiots, as she always did since they were the same old with these people in wanting Vergil dead, exiled, or sometimes both, with the former happening soon after the latter for the safety of Konoha. They always went on about how Vergil was a threat to the Leaf, could not be controlled, had no loyalty to the Leaf, which, if was the case, would ironically be their fault, but would never admit it, and etc. This was one of those meetings. Hokage-sama, you cannot stand by and let this thing get away with brutalizing shinobi of the Leaf. You must punish him, said Homura, as he saw Tsunade looking over the incident report filed by the so-called innocent survivors of Vergil's attack, and was not impressed in the slightest, especially when she knew the reason behind the attack.
This incident report you filed on their behalf doesn't explain why Vergil attacked them in the alley. Surely he had a reason, said Tsunade, seeing members of the civilian council snorting and the shinobi council scoffing at the idea. He's a demon. Demons do not need a reason to attack human beings, said Kaharu, as she had kept the reason behind the attack out of the report for a reason, and nailed the smug Namikaze with their laws.
Funny you should say that, because it just so happens I know the reason why it happened in the first place, said Tsunade calmly, though she did notice Danzo's one eye narrowing slightly at this news, and it was clearly unexpected since he wanted to jump at the chance to say something to influence this meeting in his favor. What was the cause of him attacking? Said Inuzuka Tsume, as she, like the other clan heads at this meeting, thought it was pointless and a waste of everyone's time. Apparently, this select group of shinobi were trying to make an attempt at raping one Mitarashi Anko, and Vergil stepped in before making them pay for it, said Tsunade, seeing the Inuzuka woman look ready to hunt the fools still alive down, and destroy what was left of them. That snake slut, please. Everyone knows it's impossible to rape that woman, because she spreads her legs to every male around her. It's clear the woman was going to pleasure them all. The demon interfered, and now she's trying to cover it up so we don't punish her for public indecency, said Homura, as he never liked that woman, and always thought Anko was just like Orochimaru in every traitorous way. Vergil and Anko's surviving victims have already had a round with Ibiki. From what they spilled to him out of fear of facing those two again, it would seem they all thought what you do about Anko being indecent, and tried to prey on that. Each shinobi admitted their guilt in the act and corroborates the statements I have about the incident after you filed to report against Vergil. These charges against him are dropped and this meeting is over, said Tsunade, but it was clear the shinobi council and Danzo were not done. I demand that damn boy be exiled. I will appeal this decision to the fired daimyo if you don't, said Danzo, as he saw Tsunade narrow her eyes at him and look ready to take his head clean off with one punch. Appeal. All you want, Danzo, but exiling the boy is the last thing the Leaf should do right now, considering it is because of Namikaze Vergil the Leaf has obtained an alliance and trade rights with Snow Country's new daimyo. If we do anything, whether exile or even execute him for whatever charges you bring, it instantly remove us that country's good graces, said Tsunade, seeing Danzo's hand tighten on his cane. I'm giving you one last chance, Tsunade. Exile him. Now, said Danzo, seeing the female Hokage hitting him with killer intent.
The answer, Danzo, is no. Threaten me again and you'll regret it, said Tsunade, as she saw Danzo seething now, and leave the room in his own dramatic way of defying her.
This is not over, Tsunade. We will have our way whether you like it or not, said Koharu before she and Homura left the room to show their own support for Danzo. the civilian council quickly doing the same. Arrogant bigots. They think only of money and power they think comes with it, said Tsunade before an Anbu assigned to guard the Uchiha came in.
Hokage-sama, Uchiha Sasuke was taken from his room. There is evidence he went with whoever took him willingly, said the Anbu, who had been put under a genjutsu by Danzo at the time, and only broke free from it due to the change in the shift came early. There was silence as everyone looked at the Hokage, as she now had a scowl on her face far deeper than they had ever seen before, and it was truly a scary sight to behold.
Fuck! Yelled Tsunade, as she threw the table in front of her out the window, and had a "I'm very pissed off" look on her face. I want my wife, thought Nara Shikaku, as he knew his wife was scary. But she was a tame kitten compared to the Hokage right now.
Lock the village down. Find Uchiha Sasuke now. Search under every rock, tree, and building in the leaf. Anyone gives you any lip, tell them I told you to look, and to find that mentally unstable prick of an Uchiha. Use those exact words. Depending on what their reactions are, we can learn who would help hide him, and who would rat the bastard out, said Tsunade, as she saw the Anbu nod, and leave to carry out her orders. I take it we should prepare for the worst, Hokage-sama, said Hiyashi, as he was having a sense of a dark forebodingness, and felt the need to secure the safety of his clan.
They all did. Yes. Do so at once, said Tsunade as she sensed what Hayashi did, and her instincts on this matter were never wrong. Danzo's actions today at the meeting, his demands, the threat, and the walking out were all signs of an impending clash of two different ideologies that could no longer coexist in one village. The unstoppable force had finally run into the immovable object, and the two were going to clash real soon to see which one would have the privilege of survival. With Namikaze Vergil in the center of it all. Root HQ.
From the angry look on your face, I take it the Hokage didn't agree with anything you wanted, and asserted her power, said Sasuke calmly, seeing Danzo and the two shinobi councilmen looking angry.
What does she know how to run the village? That woman is unfit to be Hokage. Her own connection to the demon has clouded her judgment, thinking that thing deserves to be treated with respect and kindness, like he was an actual human being. The human race does not bow to the whims of demons, monsters, the Shinigami, and Kami himself. We are beyond the rules of such so-called higher powers. As for Tsunade, the only reason that bitch was even chosen by the Sandang was simply due to him lacking options in terms of successors, said Danzo, slamming end of his cane down hard on the floor. He walked on with each angry step he took.
Are your forces in places to overthrow her? Said Homura, as he saw Danzo nod, since it was always more than a possibility Tsunade would turn down any demands made, and stuck to her usual ways of running Konoha.
They are all awaiting for my command. Soon the leaf will be ours to run, and there is nothing that bitch can do to stop it, said Danzo, knowing Tsunade's time, being Hokage, was dwindling down to nothing. The time is now. I want the power to kill Itachi. I'm tired of being held back by everyone around me, said Sasuke, as he wanted his revenge, and he wanted it now.
Patience, Sasuke, you will have it soon. Signal our forces to strike in a few hours, said Danzo to one of his root subordinates in the shadows.
Namikaze Estate's master bedroom hours later. Damn. That you know how to please Vergil-sama, said Tayua, as she was on top of him, sweating from all the lovemaking they had done, and saw an equally naked Kin crawling up slightly next to them to rest her head on his shoulder. That's because Vergil-sama is a loving master. A sharing master, said Kin softly, and the moans of the other girls around the large king-size bed were all moaning too, in full agreement. They loved shadow clones more than ever. Thank you for involving me in this, Vergil-kun, said Yakumo, as she snuggled up to one section of Vergil, while Hinata did the same on the opposite side with Yugito, and Haku resting around the center of his waist.
How did this happen again? Said Vergil, wondering how it did happen in the first place.
1 minute, they were all sitting down, happily eating lunch, talking, laughing. And then the next. They were here, making hot, passionate love making on this bed. And this being the first for several of the girls lying on this bed on top of him.
Vergil wasn't complaining, of course. What straight male would? The fact remains, it did happen, and now Vergil was in a sense a man amongst men if it was learned 6 girls had been pleased by him.
I blame Kin's cooking, said Taiyua, who got a glare from Kin, and heard the other girls chuckle. That could be a distinct possibility since that is the last thing I remember before this all happened, said Vergil, hearing more laughter from the girls. Vergil-kun, said Kin in a slightly whining voice and quivering lip. I didn't say it was a bad thing, Kin-chan. Merely stating it was unexpected, said Vergil, as he suspected Kin had accidentally used an aphrodisiac, and when they all sat down to eat the current situation with them now on the bed explained itself. Unexpected but still pleasant, said Haku, smiling up at him. Damn. Right, said Taiyue before the door downstairs was knocked on, and the girls all groaned at Vergil having to answer the door. Ignore it, said Yukito. This is our time, said Heiku. Stay here and we'll make it worth your while, said Kin. Whoever is at the kami. Damn door can just go fuck off, said Taiyuya, yelling the last part while getting sweat drops from everyone around her. What she said, said Yakumo. Ditto, said Hinata. Sorry, girls, but you know this could be important. If it's not, then I'll make it up to all of you, said Vergil, seeing them think it over, before nodding and reluctantly led him off of the bed to get dressed in bathrobe.
So Kin, what did you put in that food? Said Taiyuya, seeing Kin blush, and told her what the ingredients were, with Yukito blushing since one of the ingredients was a very potent aphrodisiac.
Kin-chan, I have one question to ask you. And it's very important that you answer me honestly without any form of deception, said Haku, rising slightly from her position on the bed.
What? Said Kin curiously. You wrote down how to make it again, right? Said Haku, smiling at Kin, who smiled back, and nodded since she always did when making food, so it could be changed at a later date in case the meal didn't taste right.
Absolutely, said Kin, as she heard the girls squeal with delight, and knew that the dish she made was going to be a reoccurring thing.
Meanwhile, Vergil smirked, having heard their brief conversation, and shook his head before he made it to the downstairs doorway. After opening it, he was surprised to see Anko and Shizune there, though it was clear from the looks on their faces they were here strictly for business purposes.
Something big is about to happen, isn't there? Said Vergil, seeing the two women nod. Yep. Can we come in, or are we interrupting anything? Said Anko with a small grin, with Shizune blushing at seeing Vergil wearing only a bathrobe. No, everything is fine. Come in and fill me in on the details, said Vergil, letting the two in and shutting the door. To be blunt, Gaki, the councils wanted their usual demands met, and you out of Konoha for good, said Anko, sitting down on the couch in a slightly provocative manner. Not surprising. The ones she's gone to are just a small handful compared to the rest of my life. Was it exile they wanted or execution this time? Said Vergil, seeing Shizune's shocked look of surprise.
You mean the meetings Tsunade-sama has gone to about these things are just a handful of them? Said Shizune, while Anko just nodded grimly.
Yeah. Individually, as it currently stands, the total numbers were 364 for Naruto's exile, and 524 for his execution being requested. When the Sandaime was in charge, said Anko, seeing Vergil just shrug it off. How bad was it this time? Said Vergil, having sat down in his own chair, seeing Shizune fidget for a moment.
Bad, Vergil-kun. Danzo wanted you banished immediately. Normally, he was demanding it, but when Tsunade turned down the request, the man would leave it alone, and act like the words that came out of his mouth didn't leave him. After Tsunade-sama told him no, he stormed out of the room with the shinobi and civilian council following behind him. Another problem that's come up is Uchiha Sasuke has gone missing, and the village has been on lockdown since then. said Shizune, knowing someone like Danzo was not to be underestimated if the fact he was a rival for the title of Sandaime Hokage was indeed true. He's desperate. Plain and simple. The man has waited years upon years to take control of the leaf and now sees it slipping away with Tsunade in control. Danzo will take the leaf by force, said Vergil, simply knowing that was the Hokage's assessment too.
The only question now is, when? Said Shizune, knowing it could be at any time, at any moment. There were several loud explosions echoing throughout the village. Now it seems, said Vergil, seeing the girls come down moments later, ready for a fight, and Haku handed him his clothes. We heard everything, Vergil-kun, said Haku, seeing him nod in understanding. Yakumo, you stay here. You're still not ready to use your skills yet, and Danzo's forces are nothing to sneeze at. Kayuya and Kin will do the same in staying here while the rest of you are with me, said Vergil, as he walked into a nearby bathroom, and was out mere seconds later with sword in hand. I need to find Tsunade-sama and assist her, since it's clear Danzo will seek to eliminate her to solidify his power, said Shizune, seeing Vergil nod. Well, I'm staying with the Gaki. All the root blood we're going to spill gets my adrenaline pumping, said Anko, making everyone around her sweat drop. She's not normal, said Yukito to Haku. And we are, said Haku, back with Yukito being sheepish. Good point, said Yukito, rubbing the back of her head. Time to handle this annoyance once and for all. Be on your guard. All of you. Knowing our enemies, they don't play fair, or will show mercy. Don't show them any either, or else you'll die. Or worse, said Vergil, seeing Hinata. And Haku nod, since they were always against killing needlessly. Hinata now more than Haku, but the once shy Hyuga girl had the inner strength to fight, and Vergil knew she would use it when needed. With that said, they exited the Namikaze estates and ran deep into the thick of things in the Leaf with root forces, along with those supporting them, fighting other shinobi loyal to the Hokage. The people had formed mobs, rioting was breaking out, and already the means to put them down was thinned due to root shinobi assisting them. And in the middle of it all was Uchiha Sasuke. The boy had a new pair of Sharingan eyes with 3 tomos in them, that ironically belonged to his father, and were now being used by him. Behind Sasuke was a mob of people, demanding the boy be acknowledged for his greatness. Though what that greatness was, no one really knew, but wanted it anyway, and they wanted it now. Come out, loser! Come out and face me and my ally so I can take what's yours, thought Sasuke, as he marched towards the Hokage Tower, and wasn't disappointed when he saw Vergil waiting for him with most of the women he knew had flocked to the Namikaze estates in such a short time. Soon they would and he'd make the loser of a Namikaze watch as they gave birth to Uchiha children. Not Namikaze. Hello, loser. Surprised to see me with a new pair of Sharingan eyes, said Sasuke confidently, with Vergil narrowing his own at the Uchiha. So Danzo gave you an eye transplant. Is that supposed to impress me? What did you have to do for him to get it? Suck his cock. Take it up the ass. Do both. I mean, I knew you would do anything for Power Team. But even I didn't know you'd do anything in that sense, and said Vergil, seeing Sasuke get angry at him for it.
Shut your mouth, loser. When I'm done with you, I'll have that demonic power within your body, and those women behind you at my feet being forced to produce child after child of Uchiha blood that will train to become the most ruthless killers in the world to one day crush all who oppose me, said Sasuke, as he saw Vergil's power flare around him, and knew that the Namikaze was not pleased.
Girls, leave, now! This is something that needs to be dealt with in my own way, said Vergil, with his voice being cold, and leaving no room for arguing. He's so dead, said Anko before leaping away with the others. Why'd you make them leave, loser? Don't want them seeing you lose to an elite shinobi demon, said Sasuke, with the tomos in his eyes spinning wildly.
No, I don't want them to have nightmares after witnessing the horrible way I'm going to kill you, traitor, said Vergil, unsheathing Yamato while the Uchiha just smirked.
You think you're so great, don't you, loser? Well, you're not. You're just a peasant. A weakling compared to me, said Sasuke, seeing the icy face of Vergil. Give nothing away. If I'm so weak, then you wouldn't have lost your eyes to me the first time around, and had some guy with a god complex old enough to be your grandfather, but fuck you to get replacements, said Vergil, seeing Sasuke scowling furiously in rage. I'm going to so enjoy breaking you and those sluts of yours, demon abomination, said Sasuke, bringing out his clan sword once held by his father. And I'm going to enjoy slicing you to pieces in front of your little mob of Uchiha cocksuckers, said Vergil, as he moved in an instant, and Sasuke could barely keep up with him in blocking the attacks with his Sharingan. However, the Sharingan eyes did little when the precision behind Vergil's skills with a blade, as the Namikaze soon proved to be too much for the Chiha, and cut through the sword along with the arm. When Vergil was behind him, Sasuke's sword arm fell onto ground, and the Uchiha cried out in pain. Damn, you loser. Don't you know who I am? Haven't you figured it out by now? I'm an Uchiha. I'm an elite shinobi. And you are nothing. Do you hear me? You are a freak of nature that shouldn't exist. You are nothing, said Sasuke, turning around to face Vergil, who was sheathing his sword, and stopped for a second to look at him. If what you said is indeed true, then this so-called nothing, as you have dubbed me, has just killed you. And that makes you Uchiha Sasuke less than nothing, said Vergil before sheathing his blade completely, and Uchiha Sasuke had been cut into chunky pieces, while screaming out a horrible blood-choking death. Looking at the direction of the mob, looking at him in shock at how he had dispatched the last Uchiha so easily, Vergil simply cracked his neck and began walking towards them while the root shinobi appeared in front of the civilians to kill the half-devil. Vergil was not impressed in the slightest as he heard the crowd yelling and screaming for his blood now that he had committed the ultimate sin in their eyes. However, the Namikaze just ignored it all as he brought out Cerberus, and the half-devil could practically hear the dog demon turned weapon growling with bloodlust. Elsewhere in Konoha,